Hey everybody, and welcome to the next real world flame. Now, this one is going to be an example of, despite all of the flashy stuff that Flame is sold as being used on and for, really what is a lot of Flame's bread and butter, which is cleanup. And, Flame can excel at cleanup just in ways that can't be done in other pieces of software. And I'm not trying to start a war or anything, it's just that's my opinion. But yeah, you just can plow through this stuff with Flame, and if you're a working Flame artist right now, you know that a lot of your bread and butter can be cleanup. So I get a lot of questions too, again, with in regards to what is, how to get started with Flame and along those lines. And I think, again, another thing that is worth showing is, glamour aside, the real tasks that sometimes Flame is used for, and tasks which can be, not the most glamorous things in the world. And I think it's important to show these in a light where you can see start to finish what happens and the amount of work that actually does go into it. So first off, I'd like to thank the organizers of this film, Agatha Rose Penelope Fern. It's an indie short film. And also thanks to Enrico for hooking that up to let me use this footage as an example. Now, unfortunately, you guys won't be able to use the footage, but hopefully you'll be able to learn a lot from this. So let's have a look. So this first example is here's some footage I was given. I'm gonna play it down, and this guy walking into an elevator, and what was wanted to be removed was this guy here. For whatever reason, they didn't like this particular thing. They're cool with this. But this guy didn't work that well. So again, if we scrub through, actually I'm just going to change my preferences. General, it is, no, that was all right. That's just because it's a longer clip actually. It just behaves differently in here as to out here, which is interesting. It feels like it has jog shuttle on. So anyway, if we scrub through, you see we've got a bit of a focus pull at the start. We definitely have a focus pull. We've got the guy intersecting. We've got the hands going up. Motion blur. The shoulder still happening there. And now the head kind of goes in front. Now, parts of this we'll be able to pull a key. And again, I think it's important to show this, how this will be approached. So again, this isn't the shortest thing in the world. It's 438 frames, which is 18 seconds. It's kind of what you'd expect on a shot. The other thing to note too is this will have, if we do burn-in letterbox, this will have bars top and bottom, so we don't have to worry about that that stuff above and all that. But that's just to note. So I'm going to show you guys the finished product, which was this, and we see it's removed. And I'll let this play through. We get away with a lot. And again, this is just another perfect example of invisible effects that no one really knows about, but again, our bread and butter in what we do every day. So I really hope this is going to help someone new to Flame, or someone just looking to see on someone else's workflow for doing this particular effect. So this is starting from scratch. So this, again, I've had lots of requests for how I'd work in a project start to finish, and this is going to be it. So again, I've just brought both of these in. They're cached. For this example, I'm going to just bring it in. And again, this is from scratch. So I'm just going to go 438 just to match my duration. In this particular one, I'm going to use batch just because it doesn't really warrant using batch effects, but yeah, that's another story. So I'm just going to turn off filtering, and yeah, let's kind of see where to start. So we see we have a little bit of lens breathing from the focus pull, and again, now it's kind of choosing the right spot to pull this frame from. So let's see where it feels right, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna go somewhere here because it's fairly sharp. So first thing I like to do too is I'm just going to do spacebar V, and I'm just going to call this source footage. This is just a habit I have, just for when other people might pick up my setups if I am working with someone else. I like to kind of just set it up this way. It's just how I do things. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Again, this is just my way. Another thing that I'll do too is if I do have you know, notes and stuff, I'll have one that's like ref and notes, and have that somewhere as well. Usually I'll have that as green or whatever, but whatever. So again, the other thing I like to do is just select that and jump in there. So we've got that guy highlighted, and then I'll go over to the batch itself, select in there, and then do the old up down on the arrow. So it takes on the name, iterate, increment, and now I'm good to go. So let's get started. So we already knew that 136, this frame is kind of where we liked for our frame. Now there's several ways we could do this, and let's have a look at each way, I guess. So first thing is if we just go here and freeze that frame, look at the results, you can see what we're getting. And again, it's just a nice frame to freeze on. So let's try. And again, I don't have a specific, I'm going to do it exactly that way each time. I don't know, maybe some people do, I don't personally. But let's do recursive clone, and let's make this a lot bigger. And I'll make the X offset at 0 just by control clicking. And let's just paint down, see what we can get away with. And it's not horrible. Let's see how far until it breaks. I'll do that. So unfortunately, it's probably because of my crappy cloning. Let's say that's not too bad. So again, it's just figuring out where we can get away with. And again, I can go down here and clean this up. It doesn't have to be perfect. And again, I'm just going to do F1, F4. And for the sake of this, I'd like a bit more of that color up there, or the lighting gradation / variation. So I'm just going to, again, 0 out the X, just to introduce some of it. Again, that's horrible, so I'm going to backspace a couple times. And there. One more. And I'll do the opposite just to clean that up. And you know what? For the sake of this, that's amazing. Now, I could have, if I do consolidate, I could have gone sequence, but I didn't. I've been, to be perfectly honest with you, I've been using 2017 with lots of places, because lots of places just aren't up on 2018 yet. But no matter, we know that we froze it on 136, so I'm just going to chuck a mux right after and freeze that frame, but it's not working. And that's because I did it on the wrong frame. Bear with me. If I go edit, we see it is on frame 131. Sorry, that's my bad. Again, I am not... that was my bad. I usually will paint on the same frame, but again, that's worth noting. So now I'm going to freeze current. So that is my clean plate / frame or whatever. So let's get this prepped to put in. So the first thing I'm going to do is a denoise. You can use Neat Video if you like. For this, because it's just going to get regrained anyway, and it's not imperative, I'm going to just use the regular denoise. And that'll do. So again, I'm just going to copy that just by Control D on that, just so it's not processing that guy, because these denoises can be pretty heavy. So there's our first frame, and let's again, let's just scrub through, and we see, I mean, really it's just that first little bit of move, I guess, we have to worry about. I mean, it's more just from the lens breathing, but let's see what we can get away with. So I'm just gonna pull out an action and just turn off Z buffer and just put in a new layer. And you'll see there's our guy, but let's pull out a Gms Tracer and F1. And again, it's all about finding the right amount to do that doesn't require the biggest amount of fill-in roto, if you know what I'm saying. So let's just select that and pull that over. Okay, so you see we still need to get this going. So I'm going to minus clicks, set that to Alt-2, and then with this guy in this view, F1, and so we don't get stupid double up, I'm going to go into the view and then widget display current only and exit. So now if I go in here, spacebar 1, and then we're in here, we can see how much we have to pull this out, which is handy. So we're going to pull that across and pull that over somewhere there. Is actually not too bad. Let's see again. So again, it could be a little tighter maybe. I mean, is that bit there weird? Yes. So again, let's tighten it up because we can. And we'll go down here and let's just tighten this up just so it doesn't look as silly. And I've got auto key on, so I'm going to go into animation, shift tab, and set key keep. Because unfortunately, this handy little double click guy here that auto expands doesn't live in action. Doesn't that suck? Anyway, so there's our first kind of layout frame, if you will, just to see how it looks. And again, if we scrub through, you can see what we're dealing with. Okay, so see we got the left door is kind of moving a little bit too. And again, let's just scrub and do iterate replace just to save, always save. And yeah, let's see what we can get away with just by kind of doing some fill-in roto as well. This is something I like to do. So again, I'm just going off the source and I'm just doing the spacebar A just to add those guys in. And let's just do Gmask up here on this portion. Let's see. So it's, yeah, it's from there. So let's go there. Chuck that in. Spacebar A and just smooth that out. And sure, that'll do. So my front will be the incoming. I'm gonna add a little point there as well. The back will be the result of that, and my mat will be that. And let's see. And that's not working because it doesn't matter. So yeah, I didn't even have to do that, obviously, because we're not even masking that. But again, it's good to explore this stuff because it might make sense if we scrub through, because we have all this stuff here with the shadows and the lighting variation. I mean, I know it's not right, but sometimes, you know, the smaller portion you can take out of something can actually screw you in terms of it can kind of give away your effects. So sometimes it is more is more, if you know what I mean. So I'm gonna try pulling this up somewhere here, and then I'm gonna pull it out as well just to see what we can get away with. And it's gonna make sure, yeah, keys are good. And because I'm kind of coming in right on here, I'm gonna go back to my painted frame, which we know is 131. So it's gonna go 131, and let's tighten that up a bit. So something like that. Yeah, and then again, we'll probably want to clean up his weird arm thing. Cool. And again, yeah, I'm cool with that. Now the other thing is, again, this needs some nicer fall off. We could always add, there's two ways you can get some better fall off. So if I go to I go here and then press 1 to view the output, and then just Control I to get rid of icons. We can, because this is like a mini action, we can turn on sampling, but I don't know, I don't like turning that on, and I don't usually use hardware aliasing. I know that's maybe a gasp moment, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I still run into weird bugs personally. Your results may vary. The only thing I will use in this sometimes is a motion blur, but generally not. That's just my way of working. Everyone is different. So if I go to the blur and spacebar 1, and I just want to see this just fall off a little nicer. So I'm going to pull it out and just look at it and just go, you know, say like 5. And if I bypass that, I'm just looking for a nice, smooth kind of fall off. And I'm going to do Shift E and Shift C just to see how that behaves pre and post. And you can see the difference that makes once you've added that. You know, it's just that little softener just for your guy or girl to get that going in. So okay, that's working. We're happy with that. Now we are running into the issue of the focus breathing and the movement. So again, let's I'm gonna have a look at the timeline again and see actually what I did, because I don't remember this to be honest. So okay, it looks like I probably tracked to a portion somewhere. So let's try a track, I guess. So let's pull in with the background selected. Let's pull in a Gmask. And the reason I did that is because if it was this layer and we do the Gmask and we pull it out on here, we can always change the tracking to there. And then if we do F8 though, we're always going to be looking at the layer that was pulled out, no matter what. It's just how it works. So if I have the background selected when I do that and pull it out, and then do F4, if I do this and then do F8, you see it's going to show the source, which is pretty cool because now we can not have to view the Gmask and hide things. We can view it in context, which is something worth noting, I guess. So the frame I drew it on is actually not a bad frame. So let's jump to there. I'm going to go Object, Planar. I'm going to turn that off. And I'm just going to go backward, Snap. And for Snap to actually work, you have to have the axes selected. And now it's going to work. So you see if those are selected and you're in F8. Well, it shows up now, but that's just a bug. You Snap and Analyze backward. And you see, obviously, it's doing fine. Except for that weird scale. You know what? Maybe this isn't a case for Gmask. Let's just do regular axes. So I'm going to enter. And let's control drag just to the area we're going to be getting rid of, right? So we scrub through. And just see if anything intersects. And that's actually going to be a perfectly good spot, I think. I mean, it might get confused. Let's try it. So analyze forward and hope for the best. Now this is always part of the fun with focus pulls. You know, you always are going to get that weird little bit of breathing. Better lenses will have less. Cheaper DSLR lenses will have insane amounts of it. So this one wasn't too bad. So we'll let this do its thing. And please, if you enjoy this particular format, this longer format, please let me know, because these do take a bit longer, but I have had a few requests to do these. So if you enjoy this, please let me know, and I'll try to keep these going. So look at that. Obviously, we need to parent it, and we know again that this was on frame 130. Really, it's frame 136 that it should align to. So we'll jump to that frame, and then we're going to go to axes and then adjust offset, and that's going to line it up. I'm going to Control I. You see that's tracked in there better. It's better. So let's, again, that's where this makes sense. We're drawing that mask because we don't want, yeah, that's good. So that mask is doing what it's supposed to. And now we're cooking. So first thing I like to do is I like to kind of see how it's going to be working before I get into the beef of it. It's just more of a sanity check for me sometimes, because sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming without sounding all lame. But let's pull out Keyer 3D, and I'm just gonna put in some points here, and just start it off. Oops, and I'll back click and reset and F1. Let's just start seeing what we can get away with, and that's actually, ooh, yeah, too far, so I'm gonna reset. And what we're looking for is just this nice, yeah, let's pull that down, no, somewhere there. Let's see. I mean, yeah, it's not doing what we want. Okay, let's try another one. So again, you never commit to the single one. And let's, you know, we're gonna view F4, and let's see what we can get away with. Pulling up on the whites, breaking down the blacks. And that's actually, let's see if we go color negative. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. Let's see what that looks like. So again, in this particular case, we just want to throw it in on our matte action here. So I'm just gonna add in another point here, and let's go key Gms Tracer, not the old one, and I'm gonna do the front untouched, and let's just see what object, invert, and pull that down, and then comp. It's gonna pull those guys over, and we're gonna front and matte, double click and go add. And yeah, so this is, again, this is a very just quick and dirty. I want to see what this looks like. Another thing that I'll do with this is I intentionally kind of went over this because I know I can just pull a mask for him. So I'm going to pull out a little mask and just get that bit back in as well. Something like that. And again, I can pull out over here even, because any bit I don't have to worry about with Roto is going to help, or fill in Roto or whatever. So now when we look as well, there's our guy, and that's already, it's already helping that part there. But these guys are, if we go in there and then back click on him, double click and spacebar 2, and again, let's just go 2. Look at the source, and if we grab that, Control G, and then spacebar 2, and if we do the compare grab and then zoom out, and let's just compare. I mean, we could go a little bit further, let's say 5. I mean, 5's looking a bit closer, but let's go like 4. Yeah, somewhere kind of there. 3 again, back to 3. Anyway, I'm gonna turn off the compare. So that's a good starting point, I think, for just feeling out how this is gonna work. Now the other thing is, this is an example of a shot where I love that there's so much noise and grain to match to, because this really helps with shots. For lots of, you know, matching anything always helps. It's like when there were the old tube TVs for comping, were way easier to add stuff and imperfections to rather than when everything went LCD, just from my experience. So, all right, the next thing is, let's see what it looks like. Again, just as a final, I'm gonna go matte, just enable my matte. Let's see what it looks like once we get some grain in there. So I'm gonna pull out the regrain and just put that to the foreground. Actually, we can do it here. So I'm gonna select that and then do it to the matte. And let's just sample here. I'm gonna control drag, and it's not horrible. And let's view it in context, so spacebar 2. Spacebar 2. Scrub through. You know what? That'll do. So for this example, I'm gonna pull out this render and double click, and let's just put it to 10-bit for the renders. I'm going to iterate, replace. And let's put it on just proxy, just for render. I just want to see what this is going to work like. And we're going to go render. It's going to say it's going to be proxy. Are you crazy? And push yes. Now we'll let this render. Now this is something I like doing too, just for once I start getting into roto or fill in stuff. I just like seeing what I need to worry about and what I, can get away with in terms of, the particular shot. So it just helps me having this because I can play it back real time, and it's always handy to have something that's there available to play through in real time, even though this probably doesn't really make a difference. So bear with me. I'm just going to let this play back. And again, it's more I want to, one, check the quality of that track, which I think was fine. And then two, I want to kind of dissect areas I'm going to have to worry about, specifically where his shadow comes in and out. And you saw in the other one I did, the finished product, I didn't worry about, there is shadow variation here, but I didn't bother because you don't notice, but it's more the stuff here. So it's finding where that point is. Maybe my mask doesn't come all the way in there. Maybe it's a tapered off guy that kind of happens around here. So let's go to player, and we can control P to turn off proxy, because otherwise we're viewing this half again. So I'm going to press play, and we see that's actually working pretty well. So let that do its thing. Feels like it's tracking. Again, it always feels weird when there's something in front. But yeah, it's going to work. So, I mean, first couple things to get this going is let's play with the initial blur. So I got a little freeze there. I don't know why. All right, we're back to full res. I'm going to iterate, increment. Okay, now this is going to be, again, some people might not like this. It's just something I do. I still fully haven't embraced the let in flame, do all my color management stuff. Like, because, being freelance, if you hand that off to another facility too that isn't doing that, you can't just say, hey, this is how I work, now adhere to it. So you kind of have to be able to adapt to what someone else is doing. So I haven't fully embraced that, to be honest, just cause. Now, the other thing too is I'm going to pull out here, and before I do this, I'm going to pull out a Gmask here and just get rid of as much of what I can for my mat. So again, I just want to make the least amount of roto I have to do to fill in, the better, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like doing roto. So I'm going to scrub that through. That's better. See, we're still getting this kind of stuff, which is what we want. Okay. That's going to work. That's going to work. Okay, so now what I was saying before was if we go to color and then to color management, what we want to do is we want to, if we jump to the start, we want to keyframe this, this blur. We've got blur here, blur there. So blur here, blur there. So we really want to kind of match that in. Now there's several different ways we can do this, but a way that I'd like to do, and it's just a way that I'll do it. And we'll go to gamma, I believe. Yep. And we'll do remove Srgb encoding. And now if we go to linear, yeah, we're back to normal. So, and again, someone might be tearing up who is a color scientist, and if you are, I apologize, but this is just the way I do it. So for this, I'm going to pull up my blur, and again, let's find what frames. If we go back to video, I don't know if I had my curve set up properly, I wouldn't have to keep toggling, but whatever. So if we go somewhere, see with the first point where this starts to change. So I mean, it's somewhere here is where I could say 27. Let's set a key. Set key. But actually, before I do that, I'm going to duplicate that, put that there, and then I'm going to go invert. So now we're back to video. So the main thing is so the blur happens in linear, which you guys should already know that is worth doing. So spacebar 1. And let's see. So it's just really, this should kind of match that. So if I go actually all the way to 2, this part 2. So let's just see where, I mean, that already feels, if I go 1 to 1. Yeah, I mean, that feels like it's in that same world if I bypass. Maybe it's a little too much. Let's go 3.5. Yeah, that'll do. So if I now scrub through, so we'll keep it constant to somewhere here. So let's go to 69 and spacebar 2, and let's set keyframe. But maybe it's like 3.4, just because if we do scrub through, there is a little bit of difference there. And the main thing is once this comes sharp. So I'm going to say, and again, this is a to taste type of thing, but somewhere, let's go, let's say 130, 136 maybe. So let's go spacebar 1. It's actually the frame we painted on. So let's freeze that. And again, if we scrub back, I mean, that's feeling all right to me personally. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And the other thing that I'm gonna do, because I like what it's doing down the bottom, but I don't like, I think it's noticeable with the shadow up there. So I'm going to go to the shadow. And what I'm referring to is you can tell that this is frozen up there. So I'm gonna pull this over, and then I'm gonna pull that up, something like that, and then like that, and then again Shift Tab, Set Key, Keep, just because I don't want to have to go through the trouble of putting that shadow back in personally, just cause. So if we iterate, replace, and then scrub through again, I'm just gonna Control swipe just so I can see that. I think that's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. So first things first, let's get this first little bit out of the way. So if we look at that, we see a little bit of stuff going on there, but let's do the, I guess, the most annoying part first, which is really this first bit here. So I'm gonna go to there. So go there to there. So let's pull out a Gmask and see what we can get away with tracking wise. Now this isn't always gonna work, but again, it's worth seeing before you get into manual crap, because that can be pretty annoying. So iterate, replace, tracking, planar. Yeah, I guess skew and perspective, snap, and again, snap didn't work because I have to select that. F8, oh my gosh, snap's working. And let's go analyze forward. And you see it's already whacking out. It's being stupid, so nope. Let's jump back to the F8. Go to reference and maybe turn off perspective and go snap and analyze forward. And you see that's still freaking out. And I really think it's because there's not much going on in this area here. Yeah, it's pretty much clipped at 0 anyway. So yeah, that's part of the problem. So again, before we completely throw that out, the other thing I like to do is try the old guy. And if I go snap and analyze forward, sometimes this guy gives me different results. See, it's already, I don't know. I think the multi-feature detection is like a clone exactly from Luster, I think. And then the new Gmask is the new Gmask or whatever. But sometimes it just works better, except for at the end. But let's say say to there is kind of where it's good, and then it goes off on a weird thing. So let's say to there is no good, and I'm gonna Shift Tab, swipe to the right, and then I'm just gonna Control Spacebar and Control Shift F, and then delete key, view result, swipe right, view result, and then I want to put this to linear, sorry, constant, because I don't want it to automatically ease out. Yeah, so let's say that is good. And again, this is just the fill-in stuff, which you know, can be a pain, but not always. So I'm going to hide that, go back to here, and then be in draw shape mode. And again, it's just areas where we know we've got to fill in. So let's break it down how you should be doing it, which is in little portions. So do that and pull that in, pull that there, somewhere there. And again, we can see if this is better if we go Alt 2 and then spacebar 2 for the right view. And you see if we hide, yeah, I mean, let's say maybe this guy, if we go to the mask, let's say the blur could be at 1. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's soften it up again then maybe as well. So I'm gonna, yeah, so pull it the other way, somewhere there. And then let's pull it out and see how that works. Let's just say, yeah, for now, let's say that's good. Now, the thing I like to do is now work in the good old edit box way. I'm going to set key. And again, I'm just going to find frames where it just needs a little bit of help. That's all it really needs. And again, I'm just pulling these up. And again, this probably isn't rocket science to someone who is a seasoned flame artist, but yeah, this is designed to be what goes into cleanup inside of Flame. So apologies if this is giving you work flashbacks like it is for me. Okay, so we'll jump to the last frame of the track, and you see it's really out of whack. And so do that. And then this is why I love this thing. Just rotate and then do that. Pull that over. Okay, and then let's step a couple frames back. So yeah, this is where it starts to freak out. So this will be a little bit more manual over this bit. Back, 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 and that's needs a bit of help. Back. Just those top ones. Yeah, so for that initial bit up until where we gotta keyframe it off and jump one frame forward just to see where, and here's where we can really kill this guy off because it disappears. And iterate and replace. And let's do the same for the other part. So for this, I like to go to the middle of the other shape, which would be somewhere, I guess, here, say there, and I'll add it as a child of that guy. And again, it's only about the portion that we needed, which is across here. And I realize I could key some of this, but for this initial part, I'm okay with just a little bit of roto if I have to. The other parts I'm going to try and fill in keys where I have to, but there's some scenarios where I actually like having roto as opposed to a key, because a key can be a pain in the long run with in certain ways. So that's looking okay, and I'm going to iterate, replace, and jump back a frame. And again, our keyframes don't start till this frame, so it's a shame. So I'm going to control drag and then pull the edit box back, and that works, and it's looking okay. Because from memory with this particular shot, it becomes problematic in where the shadow interacts there, and then over these bits here, because the light to darken the key. But again, we can get away with a lot, but let's see how much we can get away with. So now this should start animating, hopefully, this bigger portion. And we'll go back, yeah, so now it is animating, which is good. So again, it's only a little bit that it animated for us, but all the little bits help. We'll scrub back and pull that down. pull that down. Got really out of whack. I don't know why. Let's see. Wow. Okay, so pull that up. I don't know why that was so far out, but anyway, pull that up. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I do keys on things with some parts of it, I always feel like they come and bite you in the ass anyway, and you have to just usually go in and you end up rotoing more than you would have done with a normal roto with a key kind of thing. But anyway, so if we look at the results, and I'm going to iterate replace, and we see for that first portion that is working. Obviously we need to keyframe it off, so I'm going to go back to here and F1 and select that. And that's just something I really like to do, is just for when I want to know where I'm at with my keyframes without having to go into animation. It's selecting it, jumping to an arbitrary frame, and then back. Just helps get things done quicker. Gonna jump forward and do that. And jump another frame. And again, I know this is kind of boring, but welcome to reality. And we're going to pull that across. And again, it's just this first portion, because this is where I know the key would have problems doing it too. Because after this, I think it's going to be a lot easier just to isolate a black and white kind of Luma whatever. Whereas coming in and out of outside the frame and all that, you know, it doesn't really need much. So I'm going to keep stepping through there. And, you know, considering this is 4K, this isn't the worst snail's pace in the world. Jump through another one. And again, this is on the bit that I'm sure I could have kind of finagled with the track, but it's just sometimes easier to roto. There we go. I'm going to jump forward another frame. This has to be the world's slowest moving actor, and we'll let that go over there. Jump forward another frame. And again, let's do Alt-2 and not forget the bits we really need to worry about, which isn't a massive portion. That can always be lost in cleanup. And we'll jump forward. And again, you can see it's really only that tiny little bit we have to worry about now, which, you know, always important to view stuff in context when you're doing cleanup stuff, because you can overcomplicate things really quick, which I can do and do sometimes myself. So I'm gonna jump one more frame forward. I can just throw that over because now that goes across and then we fill in again. So just really interested in the first thing is, I know this is kind of picky, but I feel like, oh no, it's not. Oh yeah, it is. There you go. So yeah, now's the next bit. Again, just for the little color thing, because you can tell. And again, this is the reason. There's a reason flame work comes to someone as opposed to someone else. It's just that bit annoying that someone couldn't do it themselves, but they don't want to do it. That's where I see flame work for a lot of this removal stuff, personally. Okay, so just gonna jump forward a couple frames. There, and if we go Alt-2, we hide it, see it's not changing that area, so we can actually on that frame turn it off, which is good. And again, we got these other portions we need to take care of, and again, it's not too bad, but this is kind of the story of this, how this guy goes. To be honest, this is pretty much what this is going to be. And again, this is as real world Flame as it gets. Back. And again, this could be finesse with a different area because it's now in a different area to the where we tracked, but whatever. This is pretty quick and it's not really going to be a big issue. Just going to do the edit box for that. Do that. But yeah, I think it's important to show real world stuff because you know, things can get glamorized, and you know, I'm not saying that there's not super cool stuff being done with Flame. I'm just saying a lot of the super cool stuff isn't done 90% of the time, if we're going to be honest. So I'm going to jump through there. Not to say there's no artistry to this too, and I know that might piss some people off, but there's definitely an art to doing this right. So I'm just going to rotate that there. And you know what? Some people will just get their own roto done for this. Again, different conversation. Depends on the job, depends on the budget, depends on a lot of things. So I'm going to throw that away there. And it's going to work. So let's just quickly see how that did. So I'm going to duplicate this render guy and double click and just scrub till there. And I'll go 1 to 47, so I'll go 47, and I'll render range, just so we can see how that guy nutted out. And I already saw what I forgot. I press play, which was his neck part, but other than that, the rest is working. So let's just quickly get that stuff out of the way. So again, with that guy selected, I'm gonna pull out Gmask and just draw out a shape. And yeah, I can't stress how important it is when you do shapes to try and break them as much as possible, because you can just chase a horrible shape more and more once you when you draw too many into, try and put too many shapes into one, can just really paint you in a hole, to be honest. And blah blah blah. Just gonna there, just arrowing to the right, just so these are jumping ahead. And for anyone coming from 2017 to 2018, you notice you can just select right near these, and we don't have that bug that was in 17, but everyone should be on 18 by now, right? And for anyone wondering, I'm using 18.3, which is the latest right now, which is awesome. I think we even have the back click. Yeah, we got scopes. Yes. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to hide them. But yeah, that's, again, one reason worth upgrading personally. Pull that over. Jump forward. And actually, that can just go over there. And again, I'm going to iterate, replace, render range. Let this do its thing. And I go to player and press play. And that first bit is working. I'm going to hold down the play button and go loop and press play. You see, it's definitely working. Now, there's some things that aren't working, which is, it's apparent right now that I definitely need a lot more noise on my my grain. My grain is not nearly grainy enough, so I'm gonna double click on that and go spacebar 2. And I'm gonna try. That's already feeling better to me personally. You see it's crazy values, but this is actually quite noisy, so I'm gonna set key keep and iterate replace. So I don't need that part anymore. I already know that first portion's working. Now it's the fun part of where to next. So let's see, just seeing where we want to start with. So I think the first thing will be is let's address, once he comes around from here to here, let's start playing with our mat. All right, that's what we initially did with that, but I didn't really. It's not the best. So let's try the Gms Tracer again, and I'm gonna pull out across here and do that and soften that off and do Alt 2 and do F8, escape, double click and go Tracer, add, and then F8. There we go. It's weird. Anyway, if I go F8, and with this, if I do F4, and then on the left, yeah, F8. So the front mat, that's why this is viewing my mat. Sorry about that. I know it's probably confusing. But the front and then the back, so the foreground, background, sorry, the other way around. There we go, foreground and background. And you see now we're getting a better looking kind of key. So somewhere there, and this is the thing is, I think a lot of people forget that Gms Tracer has this other algorithm for keying in here, which can be very, very handy. So if we pull that across, that's already looking good. So let's scrub that through. And again, I could have just keyed this, but again, I would have had to do the reverse roto bit for these parts, so whatever. And that's actually, let's see, that's actually not that bad. And I may be able to get away with, if I pull that up, let's see, shift tab, set key keep. Yeah, I mean, really, the annoying part is, again, this part here. So I'm gonna see if I can get away with it. I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add another point. And in this case, I'm gonna undo that and undo. Let's see, I'm gonna go add and foreground and background. I know this is really breaking up, but bear with me. I want to see what I can get away with. Okay, somewhere there. Nope, nope. Let's see. Let's see. I might shrink, dilate, and let's see if I blur. What do I get for that? Ooh, it's really weird. And is that the shadow? Is that why that's animating? Or is that my let's see, animation. I'm just gonna set a key there and keep. Don't know why, but now that shadow should be. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. I don't know what I was doing there. I'm gonna select those, throw those away, and let's have a look at that. So let's see. So first thing is, where does this really start to fall apart is, I guess, the real question with this, because this can be extremely problematic. Let's see. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's gonna, I think maybe it's worth trying a different key approach too, just because that just looks too treated to me. So I'm gonna control drag, and that's no good. And try it again. I could have just reset, but you know how it gets. pull those out somewhere there. And then let's try a matte edge, and I'm gonna pull down on this, blur it up. That's kind of insane, somewhere there. I mean, for portions of that, let's see, where's the problematic areas? I mean, really, I could, if I pull out a mask for this, and let's do Gms Tracer, front matte, and let's try it something like that. And go objects, mask, invert, blah. And let's just soften that out. And let's see how that looks. Okay, so again, we're just worried about this part. So let's scrub through. And as we come back in, I mean, we get a little bit of weirdness. Let's see. Okay, so I mean, I've got to pull it out a little bit more. Like, let's pull that over here. And say we just chunk it up a little bit more. So set key keep. And as a result, we need to blur that up again because of that chunk. So I'm going to double click, spacebar 2. It's better. Scrub through. That's already better. It's already better. So yeah, I'm going to be happy with that part. So now obviously it's the annoying part where his hand and thing was. So it's, again, it's only those small little bits that we have to worry about. So again, it's easier to kind of look at these and just break them out in chunks, because it can be, you know, a little bit annoying. So first thing is I'm going to check time on this, and it's been an hour. So I'm going to call it for here, guys. So this is going to be the end of part 1 of this, and then part 2 we're going to literally pick up right where this was, just because I think an hour is a pretty long time. So that's it for this part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Cheers.